You won't believe this, but Genshin Impact just got hit with a $20 million fine, and it's all about some pretty shady practices involving in-game purchases. Yep, you heard that right. $20 million. Now you might be thinking, what's the deal with that? Genshin is a free-to-play game, right? Well, yeah, but here's the thing. The Federal Trade Commission, also known as FTC, just came down hard on Mihoyo, the developers of Genshin, because they were doing some stuff that wasn't exactly upfront with players about how they were spending their money. So if you've ever spent money in Genshin, or you've been even remotely curious about how those in-game purchases really work, you definitely want to stick around for this. Here's what went down. The FTC found out that Mihoyo wasn't being clear enough about the odds of pulling those items, like the 5-star characters or weapons that everyone wants. When you're spending hundreds of dollars trying to pull a 5-star, you kinda want to know what your chances are, right? The FTC said Mihoyo wasn't doing a good enough job of explaining how the system worked, especially for younger players who might not totally understand what they're getting themselves into when they drop cash on the game. On top of that, the company wasn't making it clear enough how much money players were actually spending to get what they wanted, especially since the game uses a gacha system where you pay for a chance at something rather than buying the item directly. If you've ever rolled for a character or weapon, you know exactly what I mean. It's a gamble. And the problem is that people were throwing money at this without a solid understanding of how the system worked. And honestly, that's just not fair. So the FTC came in and hit Mihoyo with a $20 million fine for being dishonest about these practices. I personally don't have a problem with the gacha system. You can always see the rates in the details screen, which shows the chances of getting a 5-star or 4-star character or weapon. To me, the odds are pretty clear, but I know some people feel that they're not being fully transparent. When the game first launched, a player did some calculations and found that the stated rates didn't match the actual odds. Later, with more data, they discovered something interesting. After a certain number of pulls, it became much more likely to get a 5-star character or weapon. This is what we now call soft pity. The reason they list the consolidated rate instead of just the percentage is because the odds of getting a 5-star are lower before soft pity, but much higher once you reach it. So instead of listing each stage, they just show a combined rate. This is how soft pity was discovered, and regular players have picked up on it over time across all their games. If this was ever brought to court, HOYOVERSE could run into some issues because of the way they present the odds. If they were forced to change how the rates are shown, we might see earlier 5-star pulls, and soft pity might not work the same way. So what happens now? Well, first off, if you're under 16 years old, you won't be able to make in-game purchases without parental permission. So for all the players out there who've been sneaking purchases without letting their parents know, that's gonna stop now. Parents will have to approve these purchases before their kids can get their hands on Genesis crystals, fates, or any of the other in-game currency, which means they're gonna have a much tighter grip on their kids' spending in the game. That's probably a good thing, considering how easy it is to get carried away when you're trying to roll for your favorite character. There are still a few ways Mihoyo can clean up its act to avoid more fines down the road. For example, Mihoyo can take steps to make things clearer when it comes to what you're actually spending your money on. For starters, you'll be able to buy fates directly with real money, instead of having to convert your primogems into them, which was pretty confusing. It was always a bit unclear exactly how much you were paying for those fates, especially when the exchange rate wasn't obvious. If we're able to buy fates directly, though, you'll know exactly how much you're spending and what you're getting in return, which is a lot better for everyone. Transparency is key, and let's be honest, no one likes being kept in the dark when it comes to their money. On top of that, Mihoyo should also make the odds of pulling 5-star characters and weapons clear. So no more guessing about your chances when you roll. If you're spending money trying to get that one limited time character, you'll now know exactly how likely you are to get them. This is a big step toward giving players a fairer deal. When the odds are clear, you can make better decisions about where to put your money, and that's something that's been needed for a while. It's a more level playing field, removing the uncertainty of whether you're throwing your cash away on a gamble or not. Now, this isn't just about Genshin Impact. The FTC is looking at other gacha games too. So if you play any other games that use similar systems, don't be surprised if they get hit with the same kind of scrutiny. This could be the start of a bigger trend where companies that use this kind of system will have to be more honest about how their gacha mechanics work, which is a win for players across the board. So while Genshin might be getting the heat right now, don't be surprised if other companies follow suit. In the end, this is a wake-up call for the gaming industry, especially when it comes to in-game purchases. With so many players dropping serious money on games like Genshin, companies need to be more honest and transparent about how their in-game systems work. I mean, $20 million is no small fine, and it's a big signal to all the other gacha-based games out there that the FTC is paying attention. So now, we as players are getting a better deal. And if this becomes the new standard, it could change the way games handle in-game purchases across the board. More transparency, more control for parents, and more fair odds for players. It's a win in my book. I'm not sure how this will affect the game in the long run, but if HOYOVERSE really wants to avoid any more trouble with the gacha system and steer clear of fines, they'll probably have to follow the guidelines they've been given. If they don't, we could see a situation similar to what happened with TikTok, where more regulations and legal challenges force them to change their business model. It's possible that, if pushed, they might have to make the odds more transparent, or even adjust the way soft pity works. If they were to remove or modify it, players might get fewer 5-star ratings early on, and the gacha system could become a bit more predictable. On the other hand, this could hurt their revenue, as the excitement around getting a 5-star after a long stretch is part of what keeps players invested. I could also see them introducing a system that gives players more control, maybe offering guaranteed 5-star pulls after a certain number of tries, or even making the rates public for each individual pull instead of a combined rate. This would be a major shift, but it could help rebuild trust with the player base. However, it could also make the gacha system feel less exciting and more like a pay-to-win situation if they aren't careful. Either way, they're in a tricky spot, and how they handle the transparency issue will really shape the future of the game. So what do you think about this? Do you think Mihoyo deserves to be fined? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Oh, and do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to not miss any new updates. Until next time, visit ldshop.gg, a reliable top-up site for games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. With LD Shop, you can save up to 21% compared to in-game prices. Plus, first-time Genesis Crystal purchases will receive double the amount, since it goes through the official Genshin top-up system. With over 19,000 positive reviews, LD Shop is a trusted choice, and I can personally recommend it because I've used it multiple times myself. Let's try it out by purchasing a Welkin Moon. I'll select my server, enter my UID, and just like that, the Welkin is in my account in under a minute. As a new user, you'll get a $15 off coupon bundle, and if you register using my link in the description, you'll receive an extra 5% off coupon and another $15 off coupon bundle. When you spend $80 in a month, you will unlock VIP status, which gives you a free Welkin Moon, exclusive weekly coupons, and even more monthly coupons.